Let me actually turn up the mic so you can hear me. Forgot to do that. Um, should be able to hear me clearer now. If there's any issues, let me know, or maybe also let me know if you can hear me so I know that. Yeah, hi. It's so fun to talk to you again this week. Because last week I talked to you guys for the first time on live stream, and I liked it so much that I thought, why not do it again today? And yeah, it was kind of my plan to do it every week. But still, it's very nice that it was fun last time, and that it was well, that it is fun enough for me to do it again. So for this live stream, I kind of picked a project that I wanted to knit on live stream, and that is this blanket. You might have seen it if you watch my knitting podcasts. If you don't, this is the excavation blanket, and it's basically knit with just knitting back and forth, and then at the end you cut off the yarn, and this makes a very nice like tassel effect on the side, so you don't have to weave in any ends. But this is a huge project, of course, and I'm not planning to finish it anytime soon because I want to make a pretty big blanket out of this. This is made with yarn that I see someone saying that they can hear me loud and clear, so that's great. Love that you're able to hear me. So yeah, this is made with yarn that my grandma gifted me. She taught me how to knit when I was pretty young, and I kind of stopped when I went to high school, but I still had a lot of yarn laying around at her house, so she gifted that to me, and that's all these shades of blues because I was a big fan of the color blue growing up. And yeah, she just gifted me all the yarns, but then I had a bunch of 1 or 2 skeins of acrylic yarn laying around, just all these different colors. So yeah, I decided this blanket would be perfect to make with it. This is the wrong side, this is the right side, and let's knit on it. I have 6 colors and they're all right next to me. So it is now time to pick a color. I just used this color right here, but now it is time to pick the next one, like going all the way from white to dark blue. So, let me put them down before they all fall. So I'm thinking that I kind of had a lot of darker shades here, so I'm thinking maybe a lighter color. If you have very strong opinions, let me know. I see that Caroline just commented on my top. This is the Thank You Very Much top by Caroline's Corner. She is the designer of this top, and I test knit it for her. I'll just quickly stand up to show you what it looks like. It's pretty short, which is great for this weather. And I just cast it off today, and it's unblocked, but I did weave in all the ends so I could wear it for this live stream. And I love it so much. It is super comfortable. It fits perfect because it's made to measure a pattern, which is kind of meant to make it fit for everybody. But still, I'm quite happy that it did turn out this great, and yeah, I really like it. I see that my necklace is underneath it, so let me pop that out. Yeah, that's better. So yeah, I'm thinking a lighter color for this. Let me just see this one right in the middle. Let's go with this. So this is a free pattern, so I don't feel too bad about sharing this. You just kind of match up the end to the other ends, and you start knitting, and there's 1 increase per row, so that's nice and easy, and that makes it so that it forms that triangle shape that you get, and the rest is just straight stockinette. So it's a great thing to just knit on and talk to you guys about. I will talk to you guys while knitting this, which knitting and talking is not my strongest quality that I have. So it's really funny that I'm doing these live streams when actually I'm not that great at talking and knitting at the same time, but we're managing, and I have you guys to talk to, and I have a lot of fun things to talk about in these videos, so we'll be fine. Yeah, this color is plum, and it looks so nice. It's such a rich color of purple, and yeah, I think it suits me very well. Last live stream I talked about not really being sure which colors suit me well. I just kind of sometimes pick up a color and I'm like, oh, I guess it looks nice. But I don't know anything about color analysis or color seasons, anything. I don't know what suits me or anything about that. But that's fine. I do think this color looks good on me, and I don't know what that means at all, but it looks quite pretty. I'm super excited to wear this like outside in a bit. Don't know when, don't know where. I just know that I will wear this top out. Sometimes probably not to work because it is super short and it has no sleeves, so it's kind of out of the question to wear it to work. But still, when I'm going out with friends, ooh, sorry. Let me take a sip of water because my throat is kind of itchy today. Yeah, that's better. Oh, I see you have my sister in the chat as well. Wow. It's a whole family reunion here. How big am I going to make it? I don't know. It's a kind of a square blanket, and I do want it to kind of cover me when I'm sitting on a couch or whatever, so it will be pretty big. I don't know the exact length, but I do know that I kind of want to make it all. I want it to fit like my legs when I'm sitting, but kind of also want to be able to snuggle up in it. So, but then you get a 1.5 meter to 1.5 meters square kind of thing. That might be a lot, but that might also not be a lot. So I could also go for 2 meters, whatever. That'd be probably a bit too big. I'm just kind of seeing how much I like it, because at the halfway point I will have to start decreasing, so I will have to decide what the halfway point will be. I think this is currently like, I wanted to say 35, but this looks bigger. I'm not too sure actually. Maybe 40 something centimeters. And it's still, this will not cover, if I make this the halfway point, this will not really cover anything. It'd be more like a flat pillow than a blanket. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to see how big I want it to be and how much I'm enjoying the process, when obviously this will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point it will get very heavy, and that might be an indicator that it's time to wrap it up. Just I know my yarn's going to run out as well, and I'll have to buy more yarn, but I'm just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens. I don't have any strict plans for this, so this will be a work in progress for a very long time. I'm somewhere hoping that this will be finished for next winter, but if it becomes winter of the year after that, that's fine as well. Hi Catherine, I have my laptop here as well, so I can read all your comments. They're popping up on my screen over here, and they're popping up over here on my laptop as well. I'm just reading off my laptop. Hi Hi, Catherine. I probably already said, but which yarn is your top in? This is made in the Yarn and Colors Must Have yarn. I always get that wrong, but I believe it is the Yarn and Colors Must Have in the colorway Plum. And I got this at a Dutch yarn store. I got this at a Dutch yarn store, and I didn't don't know if Yarn and Colors is a bigger brand than just. It sounds international, so, but I haven't seen anyone else knit with it. But it must be available outside of the Netherlands as well. Yeah, this yarn is 100% cotton, and I knit it on 2.5 millimeter needles, so that is tiny. It took me a good while to make this. I for the test knit feedback, Carlijn asked me how much hours I put in, and I'm still trying to kind of gauge how long it took me, because I think I casted this on a month and a half ago or something, but this did not take me that long to knit. But it's also a good amount of time on 2.5 millimeter needles, especially the body. The body was just so much knitting. Wow. And with the increases on the top of the top, on the top part of this pattern, you kind of have something to look forward to. Like, you know that every other round you're doing an increase, so it's kind of fun to see it grow quickly. But when you're doing the body and you're doing just rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds, you don't see that progress as quickly as with the as with just going back and forth and increasing every row. Then, because it's worked flat, you just don't see the progress too quickly, and you easily can get discouraged and just stop working on it for a week or so. So it kind of messes with the estimation of how long it takes to knit something. Because it did take me 1.5 months, but in hours, I don't know. Like, it was a lot though. It was a lot of knitting, and knitting cotton on 2.5 millimeter needles was a lot. It was so much. Like, my hands really didn't like it as well, so I had to take breaks a lot, but we managed. The top is done, and now I have a very nice purple plum summer top, and it is super warm in the Netherlands right now, but it will get warmer, and this is a perfect camisole for them, because it does kind of cover you up here, but I stood up before, it is tiny, so it doesn't, you don't really overheat in it that much. So yeah, that's a very long-winded way of answering your question on what yarn the top is made in. I just started the test knit for a top on 2.5 millimeter needles, hoping I finish for the deadline. Ooh, Catherine, when is the deadline? How long do you have? Because, like, 2.5, I feel like deadlines are great when you're knitting, because it gives you something to just power through, so you're done before the deadline. But yeah, top on 2.5 millimeter needles with deadline, good luck. I hope it's like a camisole or something and not more of a t-shirt kind of thing. Let me know what you're working on. I'm very curious to know what pattern is going to be coming out soon-ish on 2.5 millimeter needles, because I do find myself to be a small needle kind of person. I'm knitting this entire blanket on 3 millimeter needles, so that is tiny as well. Could definitely have done this double-stranded on 5 millimeters or whatever and just be finished quicker. But I don't know why I decided to paint myself in this way. But we're in too deep right now. We're in too deep. And I'm just going to power through. But if I do end up making a second one of these, I will not do it on 3 millimeter needles. It is just too much for such a huge project. But for tiny tops, or I even knit a sweater in 3.5 millimeter needles. I just kind of really like the look of just the tiny gauge. I'm never knit with bulky weight yarn, or at least I don't think so, and it's not really a look that I go for a lot. It's not really a look that I like that much either. It's not for me, but I do love to see the patterns of designers who do love to see their pictures of the things that they made, but it's just not for me, and that's okay. Yeah, Carline's saying that she just needs an estimate. Working on it. I am so working on finding an estimate, but it is hard to estimate hours. I would really like to just pick a project and knit on it semi-monogamously and just keep super close track of what how much time I actually spend knitting it, because I'm just very curious about my knitting speed. I don't think it's that high, I don't think it's that low either. I think it's basically just average. I knit English style-ish. Like I knit English style, but I do tension my yarn with this finger. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not really, I'm not throwing the yarn, so that does speed me up a bit. But I don't know what this technique is called. It's just whatever I learned and whatever I liked, whatever I stuck with. See that Antje is here as well. Hi Antje, very, very nice of you to join again. And she's saying that Yarn and Colors is a Dutch yarn company from Zaltbommel. So it is Dutch, yeah. I got my yarn at Wolplein, my Yarn and Colors yarn. So that's kind of why I wasn't sure how international it is. But I know they're from Zaltbommel as well, right? I'm not too good with my knowing where my yarn brands are. But I do think Wolplein is from Zaltbommel as well. So is it their own brand, or is it just a coincidence that there are two, like a big yarn store and a yarn brand in the same place? Not sure. Will be worth looking up though. Not sure. Yeah, Carla, it was definitely worth knitting this. It's definitely worth it. The end result is great. I just cropped it a lot because I was kind of done with it, and I thought the cropped look would be great for summer. And I don't really have cropped camisoles that with this neck line kind of thing. I did knit the camisole number 5. Still have to do the detailing, but I did knit it, and that one is that one I didn't crop, so it is very long to just tuck in my pants or whatever. But yeah, this is just a bit shorter, and I really like that as well. I went for a different look. I kept telling that I just only cropped it for that, but I definitely also cropped it because 2.5 millimeter needles was kind of killing my hands a little bit at the end. I was kind of tired of it. But I do love the end results nonetheless. That's not an issue at all. And Carlijn is working on an 8mm sweater right now in this weather. Wow. That is quite a Not sure how to pronounce the word. You are very determined to knit a sweater on 8mm needles in this heat. Like, I'm knitting a blanket, but just doing an 8mm sweater is impressive on its own, because I could never. Also, knitting a sweater in this heat is wow. Oh, not actually right now, it's in your whip pile. That makes things slightly better, but yeah, I do know you're a very big needle girl. Like, I don't think I've seen you knit lower than, what would it be, 4mm, unless it is for socks. Like, I don't think you knit lower than that. Like, if you do, not sure, but from what I've seen, you don't really knit with tiny needles. Whereas I don't go bigger than 5, basically. You don't go lower than 4, I think. But the wrap top by Naked Knit, that's a small needle project, right? Like, that is smaller. Yeah, pretty sure. I'm trying to envision the pattern because I definitely looked at it. Yeah, 3mm. Yeah, that is a small thing. Yeah, and camis, of course. Yeah. I don't know, I kind of always see you as the person who knits 5mm needles or up. But you do knit camis, of course. Yeah. Then Catherine also said, I'm doing the Betty tee, which is a t-shirt in broken rib stitch. Wow. A t-shirt in broken rib on 2.5, that's quite a challenge, actually. Wow. And it sounds beautiful. Like, the Betty tee, I've never seen that one before. I will definitely look it up after this live stream ends, because I'm super curious about that. I am. I just realized also, oh no, there it is. Thought I forgot my scissors. Which would be a shame because I have to cut off the yarn at every 2 rows, which is where we are right now. So I'm cutting the first color of this stream if my scissors allow for it, which only took me 20 minutes. Yeah, these rows are getting longer and longer, so the time I spend on each row will be longer and longer as well. I started with 3 stitches, and I don't know how many stitches I currently have, because every row adds 1 stitch, so every color, because she did back and forth, adds 2 stitches. So this is a lot. This is the back side as well. This is the right side. But I just started out with this teeny tiny 3-stitch cast on, and I think I just did all this in one sitting in the beginning, and then it just kept getting less and less and less after that. But we did another one, and I'm thinking we probably should go dark again, or should we go white? Like, should I go for the very dark or lighter? Like, I'm not sure. I don't want it to be too clustered with the dark if I go back to it, but I also don't want to be super predictable or repetitive. and go for the white. See, Carline's voting for white right now. I might. Yeah, it's been a while since I did white. Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think we're going for white next. It's just the white is super contrasted against the other colors. It is also slightly thicker yarn as well. So whenever I do a white color, it just kind of has a tiny bump. It makes a tiny bump on the blanket, which I do like because it's kind of textured without me doing anything to texture it with. Let me quickly grab the skein that I just dropped off the floor. Because otherwise they're all going to be ending up on the floor before we end this live stream. Yes. Next color will be white. I do think this is a great moment to start, like to knit on this blanket during the stream. Catherine is confirming the choice for white. Great. Because I just casted it on. Nice. Antje mentioned that the founder of Yarn and Colors is named Koen. He grew up in a creative family. Stands between... that's some really nice background information, actually. That's... I really want to get to know like yarn companies a bit better. And this is some really, really great... They're super young. If they started in 2016, they're like, the brand is still pretty young, which I somehow thought they were, well, they can still be big if they're pretty young, but like I thought they'd been around for a bit more or something. Like they got a bit of like name recognition already. But then again, what do I know? I started knitting in the winter of 2021, so it's not like I've been around for super long that I remember businesses starting up. Like Yarn and Colors has been around for longer than I really taught myself how to knit, so don't really have that much of a say in, oh, they're so young, because I haven't been here for super long as well. I've never heard of Lotte as well. But it sounds very pretty, this pattern. Like I'm envisioning the pattern already and it sounds super pretty. And I really want to look it up right now. But I'll do so after the stream because like I'm recording on my phone, so I cannot really pop that out. Yeah. I will look it up after the stream ends. I thought it was going to like stop being this warm at some point, but I guess that point is not now because I am still very warm inside, and it is 8:30 p.m. here, so, and it is still super warm, which makes sense because I live on, like, well, I have a big window facing the west, so right where the sun sets, so the sun is like looking, like, sun is just blasting through my window right now at this point. So I already closed one of the blinds, one of the curtains that the light is really coming through right now. But I look back on last live stream and you can just see the line of the sun just coming into my room and ending right up in my face as I ended. But I did that live stream like 45 minutes later than I started this one, so maybe we'll see some sun coming in at some point. It's currently, yeah, it's just, I think it is almost here. I think the sun almost turned enough for it to be visible on stream, which is fun. Yeah, I didn't really do that much worth mentioning this week actually. Like I just relaxed, knit. I knit this summer top. I knit on some bits of other things, but not really that much. I didn't. Like, I feel like I knit a lot this week, but I also, apart from this top, do not have too much to show for it. Like, it's just been a week that's been filled up with work. Yeah, I work 4 days a week, or 3.5 ish. Like, I work full days on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then on Monday I work a half day. Or, well, a little more than half, but definitely not too much. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been, I didn't work that much, but it's still been like a busy week of work. There is so much going on, which is funny because it's just a museum, and as it is getting warmer here, less people start showing up because they all want to just go outside with their kids. Whereas in the winter, they just had a bunch of. It's kind of a kids museum where I work at mostly. So our demographic is mostly just parents with kids who have too much energy and just want to come here and hang out. And in the winter, there are definitely way more people here than there are in the summer. But I've been told that as it gets warmer, like people start to decrease our visitors amount, and then as it's been like warm for a while, there are more and more and more people coming to the museum again because they find out that we have air conditioning, and they want to benefit from our air conditioning, which is absolutely fair. So I'm very much looking forward to some people starting to show up in the museum, because we now sometimes have 20 visitors a day, which at our peak we have 800, 900,000 maybe visitors. We now have 20, and in the weekends that's maybe 100, but there are not too many people coming to the museum. But it is still super busy with summer holiday prepping, with just getting things in order for the busy season that's starting in October. Just internal shifts and whatever. Renovating our toilets has been fun, because the company made a mistake, so then all our new toilets were leaking. So that was fun. But yeah, there's just so much going on, but also nothing at all. It's just a really weird period to be working. See, the sun's coming in also. Like, it's coming. Just fun. I am excited to see how far this will get at the end of the live stream. Then definitely waiting for it to get cooler. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I do like this warmth, but it's also sometimes super warm. I do like the warmth of being able to go outside without a jacket, but I don't like I'm sticking to everything hot heat. Don't like that kind of heat. Just give me it's nice to sit outside in a t-shirt and just do something, and not I would just want to sit here, like, don't move because I'll sweat. I don't like that at all. So yeah, I'm not really happy for things to get cooler, but I want the sticky to go away, because I want the sticky and sweaty weather to go away, please. Should definitely meet up soon, Carlene. Yeah, absolutely. It's been, I think the last time we met up was when you and Udine came to my place. I think that's the last. I think that's the last time I saw you actually, because we missed each other at the knitting picnics in Utrecht. I think. I think you were attending the ones that I wasn't, and I was the one. I was there the one that you weren't. I think we just missed each other. Like, we should absolutely hang out soon. Yeah, it should be doable. You know my work hours. You know when I'm busy, and you have the summer holidays now. So before you move to Groningen, let's absolutely meet up. Yeah, that sounds really fun. Dana's been saying, that's basically how I knit. I learned how to knit in the USA, but my great aunt taught me how to knit European style when I was visiting her in Austria. I combined the two. Yeah, I learned to knit from my grandma, but I don't know how she knit. She doesn't knit anymore. So I don't know what her knitting style is actually. And I don't know where I picked this weird combination up, or if I made it up myself, because it's definitely not one of the common ones that's been taught or anything. Yeah, I don't know, but it's funny to hear that there's someone else who is doing kind of a similar or maybe the same knitting style as me. Ooh. This stitch really does not want to be knit, but I do need this stitch to be knit. I also really need the cough. That's the annoying thing about live streaming. I cannot edit out my coughs anymore. I talked about it last week also. That's basically about the only thing that I edit out right now. Or when I really, really fumble over my words real bad, I edit that out. Or if I just give you some misinformation, which basically never happens, but I just edit that out as well. Work is more fun when it's busier for sure, even if it's kind of intuitive. Yeah, it is. It is. Sometimes it gets too busy, and then it's not fun anymore. Like, there's this kind of sweet spot of, oh, it is so much fun that I just have something going on constantly. It's so busy that I just have something going on constantly. That is fun. But just there is so much going on and everybody is expecting me to do so much. And so much that I cannot do realistically in this time span. That is a bit less fun. And it's now a period of, it's super quiet. But there's also so much going on, and people are expecting things from me that I do not know how to do. Because I'm still very new to the company. I've only been here for a little less than half a year. So yeah, I'm still pretty new, and I don't really know all of my, like, everything in my job description, or everything outside of my job description that has found its way into my job description. Let's say it that way. I still haven't figured out all the tiny things that fall within my responsibility, or the things that people make to fall in my responsibility. If you know what I mean? There are sometimes just things that are, oh, Emma, you're picking that up now. And I'm like, apparently I'm the head of doing this and that now. And then I do that and somebody comes up to me and it's like, so you're actually not supposed to be doing that? I don't know who told you that, but that's not your job. And I'm like, sorry. I don't know. It's just a tiny company, and yeah, my job is just whatever people throw at me and whatever nobody takes away from me, basically. Just do whatever people say, and then eventually people are, I think people are happy about my performance at work. Have not heard otherwise, so They should be happy, or else they should tell me. Did you do anything fun on Knit in Public Day? I was actually at my parents' that day. I didn't really have plans, but my parents have a holiday house and I went there for the weekend. So I just stayed there and knit on this top. Basically, I went outside, but that was more to just go to the car to head into to head into my dad's car to go to the holiday house. I didn't really knit in public, but well, yeah, you can count public transport as knitting in public. So then I did knit in public, but I didn't do any knit in public day events. I would have loved to, but I wasn't really aware of anything big going on in my neighborhood or anything, and I was just too overwhelmed with things to set up anything on my own. So I decided to just go to my parents for the weekend and knit at their holiday house and just get away for a weekend. So no knit in public day events for me. Did you guys do anything? Is there what are the big events that I missed? Fill me in on what I missed, please. I remember a similar feeling last year where the day passed and then only after the day I found out that it was actually Knit in Public Day. And I felt similarly about, oh darn, I missed out on all that. But I've only been, I started knitting in November of 2021. But I really started knitting and going into the knitting community and everything more in April 2022, whenever Lisa's Knit Club started. Well, she has been posting for a long time, obviously, but she made a WhatsApp group, and I joined there, and I joined that group, and I just kind of submerged myself into the community. So I had only been there for little over a month because Knit in Public Day is beginning of June. So I had only been there for a little over a month. So I told myself that I couldn't be too upset about it because how would I have known? I only had a knitting Instagram for a couple weeks then. Wasn't really too bothered about updating myself on events or things like that. Don't even know if I've been to I have been to one local yarn store, but it's a very low-key one. There's just one person working and that's the owner, and there's not really, she doesn't really do many community things at her knitting shop, which is fine. She's a lovely person to chat to, but it's not you sometimes see these knitting stores where they just have activities and stuff, and that's not that kind of store. But she does sell great yarn, so I come back there every time I visit Leiden, because I used to live in Leiden and then I went there, but now that I live in The Hague, I have a new local yarn store that I do not frequent as often, because The Hague is just slightly bigger than Leiden and the commute is a bit further away. Funny thing is, I am looking for apartments right now, and I came across an apartment that was way too expensive and not really in too good of a state for me to easily move into, and that was right above the Cross and Woods, which is the local yarn store that I go to often whenever I'm going to a local yarn store in The Hague. It's right above that store, and it would have been so perfect if I lived right above the knitting store, but it was too expensive and in not a great condition for me to live in, so I passed it on. The first criteria, like the price range, should have been a clear enough indicator, but yeah, it's just, it wasn't meant to be, but I would have loved it if it was. But I am still looking for an apartment, and I'm just visiting places left and right and just kind of seeing if there's something that really sparks joy with me. And then, yeah, I'm practically able to move ASAP, but I still have over half year before I have to leave this place, so I'm not looking too hard. Well, I am actually, but I'm not kicking myself too much about it if I don't find a place real soon, because I have time, and that's great. So that my dad's leaving, and my mom also then, because they're watching on the same device. Well, have fun at the holiday house. I'll see you guys, yeah, next week, sometime around there. Just visiting my parents again for a little bit. They're visiting the holiday house now. Oh, Caroline didn't know it was Knitting Public Day until the day itself. Yeah, that was me last year. I feel you. Oh, there's something in my eye. Let me pick it up real quick. A few yarn stores in Amsterdam did meetups, and also Knit and Notes did an event in Noord. I had to work, so I just knit in the square at lunchtime. Oh, it's too bad that you missed out on the events, but you still knew that there were events going on. It's too bad. But still, you got to knit at least in the square at lunchtime. I assume the square is outside then. I don't know, I'm just envisioning like an outdoor space within. Don't know what you call it, like binnentuin in Dutch. But it's not inside garden in English. I don't know how you translate that. Huh. No clue. That's just what I'm envisioning that you're knitting in right now. Or at your lunch break on Knitting Public Day. Yeah, there's another color done, by the way. The white was a great choice. But now we have to pick another one. I'm thinking that we could either go courtyard. Yeah, courtyard, definitely. Like this color. Or maybe, like, I feel like I haven't used this one in a while. So these are the two I'm thinking. But I don't know. Like, this is the darker or the lighter. Like, I'm not too sure which of these will look the best in the long run. I'm kind of thinking about staying light, but I don't want there to be a super light patch. But the dark might be too dark. Carlijn is saying light again. And I think that might be the right choice, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think light it is, but I will keep this one in mind. Yeah, my sister is missing has said light as well. So 2 votes. That's more than enough for me to start on the light. But I do need to keep this one in mind because I see that I've not used it for a little while. Maybe I should also tell that the reason I'm doing these stripes so random is because I have varying amounts of yarn of these colors. And I don't want it to be too noticeable if I run out of a color or when I eventually have to add in another color. I don't want it to be too noticeable. So I was thinking that if I just do it as randomly as possible, nobody will notice if I add in a new color. That might be just me avoiding the problem that I'll run into whenever I'm knitting on this a bit more. But that might also be a brilliant idea. Who knows? I think I'll only figure that out once I get to the point where I add in a new color or whenever one of my colors runs out. Yeah, I feel like any shade of blue would do. I'm kind of keeping my eyes out for scrap yarn from people because, as I did mention like a tiny bit, I am in Lisa's Knit Club, which is a group chat with just knitters and crocheters and other crafters from all over the Netherlands, basically, who meet up occasionally, and sometimes we do yarn swaps. And I'm just kind of on the lookout there if somebody, whenever we meet up, offers some acrylic yarn in a shade of blue. Just as long as it's not a very bright color of blue, I do think it will fit in here. And it has to be compatible with 3mm needles. And that's my criteria, and I'm not really in the mood to buy a lot of new skeins for this project because it kind of defeats the point. It's not a scrap buster because I did have about 2 full skeins of each color here, but it is a project that I'm not really wanting to spend a lot of money on. You can clearly see the sun coming in now. It is coming in great. Maybe Mean Knitwear has some, and so she's doing an acrylic stash down. A man knitwear. I don't know her. But I will absolutely check her out because that sounds perfect. I'm now at the point where I do have a lot of yarn still, and I'm not really super usually looking for, I'm not very actively searching for more yarn, but an acrylic stash down seems like I could help someone stash down while still getting a lot of, while benefiting from it in the long run for this project. And I also feel like if I add in a new color early on, it will be less noticeable than like the later I do it. So yeah, it might be time to actually start thinking about adding in colors, actually. I'm just keeping it blue. I'm not solely going to make it a rainbow. I'm keeping it blue, and I'm keeping it blue shades. But I do, I lost my train of thoughts. I'm keeping it blue, but I am open to varying in shades of blue. As long as it's not too bright a color, because I do think these are all pretty muted. I do have one shade of light blue, and it's very in your face, and it is yarn weight wise, and it's perfect, and it's acrylic, so that's perfect. But it would be a super big eyesore if I put it in this blanket, so I'm not doing that. Remind me when we'll meet up. Ooh, if you have some, would be great, actually. And now there's even more reason for us to meet up. Like there's even more reasons to meet up. Like if you have yarn for me, that's great. I am saying that as if I don't have a huge stash already. It's actually a lot. I'm trying not to buy too much, and I'm trying to knit through it a little bit. I'm not ready to really part with a lot of my yarn just yet. I don't know, that's kind of one step too far for me, just parting with it. I have some yarn that I'm thinking I won't do anything with, but I don't know, just the feeling of I once bought this and I really wanted to do something with it, but I don't know what I want to do with it, So this kind of letting it go is hard. Like this color as well, I almost let it go once because I didn't know what to do with it, and then Carline's pattern came along, or pattern test, and it was perfect for it. But I also know realistically that 6 big crates of yarn is too much to knit through. Realistically, before adding to it, like I know myself, and I know I'm not going on a yarn ban. And I'm not going to be able to keep a yarn ban for 2+ years because that's ridiculous. I basically just need to knit more and work less. That's not a good idea. I'm not quitting my job to knit full time to go through my stash. Not doing that. Would be a great solution if I could just do this full time. Just knit on a live stream, make videos about knitting, and then just go through my stash. But that's not an option. That's not a realistic option at all. So we're not doing that. What we are doing is just kind of keeping an eye on how much I spend on yarn, or how much yarn I buy, or how much yarn comes into my life and anyway, and just kind of maybe limit that a tiny bit. I don't know, would be nice. Just trying to figure out what, oh yeah, you're seeing the tiny, when I'm pointing at this thing, and I was wondering where it came from. But I already know I have some stickers on my window, and the sun sticker is coming in. It just looks a bit warped because the sun is not directly shining on it. But I was very curious what that little thing was over there, but it is a sticker. It's great to know. Totally agree about wanting to just use stash before passing it on, especially for yarn I've bought in the last 2 years. I bought it with project in mind. Yeah, definitely. Well, I've been knitting less than 2 years, but definitely with all the yarn that I bought in the beginning of my knitting, I am more, like, I'm happier to let go of that. But the yarn that I bought, like, more recently, I have about 7 sweater quantities laying around, and they are all attached to a project, so they will be knit up eventually. But before I get to knit 7 sweaters, I will have bought 3 other quantities. But there are still projects for those patterns that I want to knit. Yeah, that's fun. Have you tried a knitting machine? No, I have never touched a knitting machine before. Well, when I was a kid, you had these, like, a play thing that you just crank stuff out of. I now see people using I think it's called a Cento, and that's kind of similar to what I was playing with as a kid. Should have definitely kept that. That's a shame. But no, I've never really tried a knitting machine more recent than when I was maybe 7 years old. And I just had a hand cranking machine that I didn't really appreciate or know how to use at all. So no, I've never done things on the knitting machine. Would be totally up for it, although I don't know, I feel like hand knitting, the activity, is kind of very romanticized in my mind. So I don't know if I'd have the same bonds with a machine hand knitted sweater as much as I do with a hand knit sweater. I don't know. I just heard people in the hallway, so I got very distracted. No, I've never done that, but I would be super open to it, although, yeah, the process of hand knitting is still something I'm very fond about. Definitely understand that feeling. I recently gave them to a friend. I taught how to knit it that way. It's still close to you. in case you suddenly change your mind. Yeah. That sounds great, but I just know that I'll be the person who, whenever I give someone yarn and they have knit something with it, I'll kind of be, well, I don't know if envious is the right word. It's kind of being like, oh, I should have knit that. Oh, I wanted that actually. And if I change my mind after they knit something with it, I don't think it's reasonable for me to ask it back. So yeah, it sounds lovely, and I would love to pass it on to a friend and keep it close to me in that way. But I just have to make sure I'm emotionally letting go of it as well. Like, I'm not holding on to the feeling of, oh, I might still one day maybe change my mind. Because then I'll get, well, not mad or something, but like, I will feel things whenever they wear the thing that they made with the yarn that I gave them. Or something. I don't know. It's a weird psychological thing. Yeah. I really want to try a knitting machine, but don't really have the space for anything in this apartment. Like, I'm on 20 square meters right now. Like, my entire life is on 20 square meters. There is stuff everywhere. Like, you do not want to visit right now because it is not ready for visitors. A knitting machine would not fit in here as well. Would love to have one. I'm dreaming about having an apartment one day. I know it's not reasonable right now because I'm looking in a bigger city, so it's not reasonable for me to think this big with my budget. But I'm dreaming about having a place. And then just, you have the whole living room, kitchen. Then upstairs you have a bedroom, and I have a knitting or crafting room. Where I just, the vision in my head is I will have a, like, one person bed. So like the 90 centimeter basic one person bed. And I'll put that up to the window of the room. It's kind of elevated so that you're sitting at the same height as the window, and then underneath you'll have storage or whatever, and then I can sit on there and knit or read or whatever, and then whenever I have someone sleeping over, that will be their bed. Then just kind of having a guest room and knitting room combined, and then having space for my bookcases, my yarn storage, my video plays with a nice background and whatever. And yeah, this is kind of the dream, and a knitting machine would fit great in there. It's big spinning wheel as well. There are so many visions. Dreams come through, yeah, absolutely. Not with my current budget, unfortunately, but it is something that I'm working towards, to just have that dream life, that highly romanticized dream life. I'm also seeing that I've been live for over an hour already, and time really does fly. Again, with the first live stream, I had the same feeling where you just start and then you're sitting here and you're talking to a camera, and then all of a sudden you're like, but what am I actually going to talk about? So that's the first 15 minutes of a live stream. Basically, it's like, oh help, what are we doing here? And then all of a sudden you blink and 1 hour has gone by. So that's kind of what today is as well for me. It's, how did I talk for an hour straight, and how are there still people here when there are, when I've been here for an hour? Like, how are still people watching this? Which, I love you guys, and I love that I get to talk to you for an hour, but it's kind of a sudden realization of, oh wow, I'm actually doing this. I can't wait till I can move to the countryside, have a farm, and make my own food. Wow, that's really ambitious. Well, It sounds really, really cool. That's such a nice dream to have. Are you guys saying have a nice weekend? Yeah, you too, Antje. I'm thinking that I'm going to close this down in a bit. I've been here for an hour and I like kind of planned these to be an hour long, just because I don't know how much content I have to cover after only like a week. I think an hour is great for now, and I definitely feel my throat acting up, so I'm just going to take another sip, and then we'll close this up. The sister says, see you next week. Yeah, I'll actually see you on, I don't know what day you're at our parents' place, but I will see you then next week somewhere. And we're going to a festival, the entire family, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll see my sister then. And I'll see you guys again on Sunday when I have a new video coming out. And otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye!